In order to understand how to limit the emissions by playing on the formulation, we prepared this illustration to explain what can generally be found in cold box resins. Um, the active and essential products illustrated in blue, so the polymer and some low volatile solvents, are not directly harmful, while in red we can find solvents and additives with very low regulatory exposure limits. Residual phenol and formaldehyde monomer are also particularly dangerous products. In the formulation of EcoCure Blue, in opposite, all these red products have been removed or at least used in concentration below the declaration threshold so that they are then considered as traces of impact not relevant by the authorities. If we look at the regulatory labeling of the Part 1 products on the market, we find the same hazard symbols, sometimes with the additional mention of flammability, whereas the Part 1 of EcoCure Blue has no pictogram, and there are no hazardous products to be mentioned on the MSDS. This is due to its particular formulation and in particular to the fact that EcoCure Blue Part 1 contains less than 1% free phenol and less than 0.1% free formaldehyde. For sure, the Part 2 still contains isocyanate, and which remains to be declared and labeled. In addition to the initial formula, we name here EcoCure Blue Pure. The EcoCure Blue range is extended with solution with less than 0.1% free formaldehyde, called EcoCure Blue Ultra, anticipating future changes in legislation, or reformulated Part 1 to increase resistance to storage at low temperatures. That is the EcoCure Blue Ice. This family is in constant development with customized solution possible and the forthcoming arrival of a second generation of product with even better technical performance. To understand where the emissions come from throughout the foundry process, we have created this small diagram. Uh, Here we can clearly see two types of emissions. During the mixing, shooting, and storage of the core, the emission come from the evaporation of the lighter products, the volatile solvents, the amine, and the release agent. Whereas during the casting process, the binder in the core is burned. There are evaporation phenomena, complete combustion, and forced combustion without oxygen, also called pyrolysis, where the most dangerous pollutants are produced. For example, PTX and NOx. If we now look at the evaporation phenomena, there are already VOC-free formulation on the market, whereas recipe containing aromatic solvent and TOs generate VOCs. However, phenol with a vapor pressure of 0.2 hectopascal at 20 degrees is a pure VOCs, and its occupational exposure limit of 2 ppm or 7.8 milligram per cubic meter demonstrates its toxicity. Phenol penetrates the body very easily by inhalation. EcoCure Blue reduced the release of phenol by more than 80% and thus greatly reduced the risk for workers. This process can be analyzed but never precisely predict because beside the binder play in addition temperature gradients, transport phenomena in the sun binder mixture and so on, an at least so important role. This is why the correlation between laboratory results and what is measured in foundries are often poor and sometimes even contradictory. Um, the results are very much influenced by the measuring method whose reproducibility or sensitivity rarely allows reliable results to be given. The results presented here and on the next slides were measured in the USA using a method called Woodstack, specifically developed by ASK, formerly Ashland, which is probably the most reliable method currently available. Each value presented is the average of a minimum of 3 gray iron casting tests. So we can see that the selection of pure solvents and the reduction of monomer or aggressive additives can enable to reduce slightly the BTX. But when the binder reactivity is optimal, we can often reduce the use of binder, and that has a much bigger influence on the reduction of BTX or other pollutant. We can see here that the reduction of only 7% of the binder can provoke 13% reduction of BTX. And that is the key message. The less organic material you will have into the sand at the pouring, the less BTX and other pollutant you will produce. And that is definitely the best way to reduce the emission. Another major advantage of the blue system is the reduction of phenol, also in the pouring atmosphere. Here there is a direct mathematical relation between the free phenol present in the sand at the pouring and the phenol we will find then in the air. Okay, the EcoCure Blue is often more expensive than the most of the other systems on the market. The reason is that the production time is a little bit longer because we have to remove the free phenol in a much drastical way. Furthermore, the solvent selection are much more restrictive than for the standard products because in order to optimize the percentage of use, we must be sure that the consistency of the quality of the binder we are delivering is perfect. But more than the price, the cost of use should be considered. And very often, the technical advantage offered by EcoCure Blue can compensate the higher price. On the top of that, all the EHS and environmental benefits makes the total cost of ownership of this product very often much more attractive than the standard systems. Reducing emission or improving the working condition of your employees with less toxic products in the air is becoming more and more essential, even if it is not directly quantifiable financially. The reduction of the phenol content in the sun to be disposed of, on the opposite, has a direct financial impact. As proof of the performance of EcoCure Blue, the wide penetration of the European market with more than 50 customers in some 15 countries. The EcoCure Blue is used in small and large foundries for small, medium, and large series in steel, gray iron, lamellar iron, as well as in aluminum. Also, EcoCure Silver is more suitable in this case. All type of casting are produced with EcoCure Blue, from brake disc, engine parts, suspension and chassis product for cars or commercial vehicles, to casting for the mining, agriculture, rail, construction, or machinery industries. In all of these cases, the profits were able to compensate for the slightly higher prices. It has been possible to reduce the percentage of binder by an average of 10% and at the same time reduce BTX emission by about 15 to 20%. One of recent developments is the LFS technology, where different R&D teams have worked together to offer a solution to reduce formaldehyde emission from the stacks of the drying oven. By using EcoCure Blue LFS with Miratec LFS coating and Veno LFS additive, the customer has been able to reduce formaldehyde emission from 20 milligram per cubic meter to less than the 5 milligram per cubic meter newly required in the revision of the TA Luft, the German law regulating atmospheric emission. This is a concrete example of a solution package developed by different teams to solve new problems. So if you have specific problems in complying with certain emission limits, do not hesitate to tell us about your problem, and we will involve the appropriate different departments to help you as best we can. So EcoCure Blue is arguably the best call box system on the market for reducing emissions. But more than a binder, it is a new platform with which our teams are continually developing new solutions. In addition to EcoCure Blue, Pure, Ultra, and Ice, we have created the EcoCure Silver using aromatic solvents. Aromatic solvents are the best solvents for aluminum casting. They reduce the release of fumes and gases which condensate to form tars. EcoCure Silver is already in use at several aluminum foundries and even in some iron foundries. EcoCure Silver was then developed with Theos solvents. Theos is an alternative to aromatic solvents. Both are VOCs, so highly volatile and can enable to reduce tars. Theos volatilizes even faster than the aromatics and is less odorous when cold, and therefore is sometimes interesting. Nevertheless, Theos is a less good solvent than aromatic. The properties are generally slightly lower, and the exposure limit for workers is about 10 times lower than for aromatics. We are also in the final stages of developing a second generation of EcoCure Blue, which will be even more efficient than the first and should be on the market before the end of the year. And in parallel, we are working on a new solution for aluminum application, which will be a VOC-free solution, which, unlike other blue solution, will generate less tar and will even reduce gas pressure well below silver aromatic or Theos solutions. If we look at how its solution for PTX behave, silver and silver Theos are slightly better than the standard system, as the benefits from the EcoCure Blue technology for the base. The new generation of blue will benefit from new solvents specifically selected by our R&D teams to generate the least amount of PTX, while a newly aluminum solution is, according to a first promising test, the system that will generate the least PTX. And the new aluminum solution will not only be VOC-free, but will also reduce gas pressure and be characterized by a low thermal distortion. Here was a brief overview of the promising solution that will come to the market this year and which we will present to you in a much comprehensive way in a few weeks or months. So to summarize, the Blue family is certainly the best solution in the market to reduce its emission without important investment. We can reduce the emission and protect the yields of the workers at many steps of the process by reducing evaporating emission in the core shop, but also at the pouring. Nevertheless, as long as we decompose an organic polymer at so high puring temperature, we will produce pollutants. With the blue system, we can reduce the emission up to 90% in the core shop, while at the pouring, we are more limited and can reach 25 to 30% of reduction in the best cases. The solution in this case to go on to use a cold box system with all the production advantage it has is then to catch and neutralize the emission, and that is why Expuris is specializing its activity in the foundries. And Dr. Morten Giladi, the CEO of Expuris, will now present the solution.